Jai Hind everyone. So today we are going to discuss chapter 1 of economics, class 9 NCERT. The chapter name is The Story of Village Palampur. This story is a fictitious story which tries to explain the factors of production which are generally used in the rural Uttar Pradesh of India. In the introduction, they have tried to explain that there are 450 families belonging to different caste and different system, and there are different people living in this village, and majorly the people engaged here are in the field of agriculture. In the second column, you can see firstly the picture, which is a scene of a village. From here we can correlate it well that whenever we talk about the villages of India, the first thing that comes in our mind is something that is next to fishing, farming, forestry, things which are related to the primary sector. And this is what the scene is depicting over here. Now, the facilities that are there in this village are quite good, like electricity, tube well. So we can say that it's a well-developed village. Now, organization of production. This is the first topic which is dealing into the factors of production. The 4 factors of production are land, labor, physical capital and human capital. This chapter divides it into 4. The land is nothing but natural resources such as water, forest and minerals. What is labor? Now labor is just the people who are doing the manual work, who are doing something for the production process. So they are all considered labor. Third factor of production or FOP, that is your physical capital. Now this physical capital can further be divided into 2 types. First, working, another one fixed. Now under fixed and working capital, under fixed what is considered is tools, machinery, building. Now the question that arises in the mind is that why are they fixed and why are they not working? So this categorization is basically on the basis of whether that product is there in the business from starting till the end, that is fixed, like a machinery is there for at least 10 years in our business, nor it is moving out. Similarly, the building in which the production operation is going on, it is also static, it is at the same place. Therefore, building. Similarly, tools which are used for production. So, buildings, tools and machine and anything similar to this will be included in the part of fixed capital. The second one, that is your working capital. It basically includes things that enter the production process and exit very soon. They do not stay in the business for long. Now, what is included here mainly is raw materials and money. Now, raw materials are brought up in the business and they are used to make the final product and finally they move out of the system. That is why they are included in working capital. Why money is included here? Because this money is money in hand. That is what you require for the day-to-day operations of the business. So you need it, you take it and you do the work that is required, and similarly the money goes out and back to the suppliers, to the vendors, to different places where it needs to go. So this is the basic classification of the physical capital. They both are physical capital. Now the 4th factor of production, that is your human capital. Now why human is considered a capital? So they have included human in production. The second column, first line, we shall learn about human capital in the next chapter. So we can discuss about why we are including it right now, because human capital is nothing but whatever the skill set people have that they want to put in an organization, that they want to put it in their work, and it results into something productive. Let's say a doctor. So a doctor would be a human capital for a hospital. Let's say an engineer. Engineer would be a human capital for an let's say construction company, and so on. So whomsoever is providing their skills, their talent, their set of skills, what they can do from it, that is all included as human capital. So these all four together comprise factors of production. Now let's have a look what is actually happening in the village of Palampur. So the first topic is the land is fixed. What do we mean by this? This is a problem basically. It means that whatever is happening in Palampur is majorly farming. 75% of the people are dependent on farming. That means we can say 3/4 of the people are actually engaged in farming. So since so many people are engaged in farming, that means there would be a problem of scarcity, scarcity of land, scarcity of jobs. That means there are more people who want to do this and lesser supplier. Now under the grey box they have given the standard units, how to measure land. So it is generally measured in biga, guintha. So the value that is the standardized one is hectares. So 1 hectare equals the area square with one side measuring 100 meters. So this is how you can compare field to field. We generally compare field from hectares to hectares. Now what else? Is there a way one can grow more from the same land? Now what is this question indicating to? The first thing that we have read is that there is problem that the land is fixed. So we know that there is a problem, we know that there is scarcity, we know that more people are engaged in it, and the output is definitely not as much as it should be. So what is the next question? The next question is, what is the solution? Can we grow more on the same piece of land? Is this a solution? Yes. So this could be an ideal solution. This is also known as multiple cropping. That means, let's read the yellow underlining. Palampur would resemble a village of western part of the state of Uttar Pradesh that I have already discussed in the beginning of the chapter. All land is cultivated in Palampur, no land is left idle. Because there is scarcity and everybody, almost 3/4 of the population is engaged in agriculture, therefore no land is left idle. So what they are doing basically, during the rainy season, that is the Kharif season, they grow jowar and bajra. These plants are used as cattle. Feed. It is followed by cultivation of potato between October and December. So this is what they are doing in the different season. And after few lines, and a part of the area is also devoted to sugarcane, which is harvested only once in a year. So this is how they are managing their farming. They are managing 3 types of farming within 1 year. That is also what we call multiple farming. Now they have everything well planned, which we'll talk about in the modern farming, which is there in the next topic of this chapter. Now going back to the yellow highlighted part, you can read from there, as a result by mid 1970s, the entire cultivated area of 200 hectares was irrigated. So this is again an imaginary situation. Now land is left idle. So the total land that is there in Palampur is 200 hectares and everywhere it was irrigated. Again going to the grey box. Not all villages in India have such high levels of irrigation. Now this is what they are talking on a practical part. That this is not the true reality, but this is an ideal situation. Okay, after 4 lines, plateau regions such as Deccan Plateau have low levels of irrigation. Of the total irrigated area in the country, a little less than 40% is irrigated even today. So this is the actual practical irrigation area, that is only even less than 40%. Whereas in the village of Palampur, it is 100%, no land is left idle. Now these are the crops that are being sown and harvested in the village of Palampur: wheat, bajra, sugarcane and potato. Now, if we are doing such a farming, this is referred to as multiple cropping. That is, you are increasing the production from the same land by you doing multiple cropping. Now, the next very important thing that comes in this chapter is about Green Revolution. Green Revolution came in the late 1960s. and it led to the increase